There is no doubt that India is involved in terrorism in Pakistan because it has its long-term objectives in sight. One, obviously, is to undermine the CPAC project in Pakistan. Secondly, to divert attention from the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. And then overall, to destabilize Pakistan. So there is no doubt that India is funding, financing, and supporting, abetting terrorism. And I wish that Pakistan could uh, do something concrete about it in the sense that Kulbhushan Jadhav is in our custody and now almost how many years? Almost 10 years because we arrested him in March 2016. But I do not see any progress on that front. So this is the time that Pakistan should be uh, firm in its stance on issues related to terrorism and do not allow India to continue doing what it is doing in Pakistan. I fully understand that there are internal issues as well because you cannot separate the two. Internal, external dimensions are intertwined. That is fully understandable, but at the same time, Pakistan needs to double down on its fight against terrorism and to expose worldwide, India worldwide, as to how it is financing this scourge. Our problem is that we are not consistent. We take one initiative and then forget about it, and then after a few days, when another terror takes place, then we remember all these things, and then again create some hype. Important is to be consistent and to sustain whatever we are doing diplomatically. It is very unfortunate that we have our relations with Afghanistan when the Taliban are at the helm have come to this pass. This saddens me, frankly speaking, because I always thought that when the Taliban took over in August 2021, that would be good for our two countries. We would be able to address the challenges facing our region jointly and will be collaborating, coordinating every move against terrorism or any other issue for that matter. And we would promote economic relations. We would have, in short, we would have a wonderful relationship. But unfortunately, things did not move in that direction. And now we are kind of, there is lack of trust. And we are treating each other as we are enemies. And that is, this situation warrants some rethinking on both sides. Pakistan is a bigger country. Uh, Afghanistan is dependent on Pakistan in many respects. So I think it is important for two countries to get together, rethink their own positions on different issues, and try to remove those mutual apprehensions, I would say. There is no doubt that there are there have been some terror attacks in Pakistan, especially in Balochistan, and then 2, 3 days ago in Islamabad as well. So these attacks do have links in Afghanistan. But I would not go to the extent of saying that Afghanistan, the government itself is uh, trying to, or they are behind it. They may be looking the other way. That is their problem, no doubt. So they cannot really give a short shrift or ride roughshod over Pakistan's concerns, in my view. And they have to understand that how important it is for Pakistan that Afghanistan should take cognizance of whatever is India doing uh, in Afghanistan. and using these proxies to destabilize Pakistan. So if Taliban were to prove their friendship with Pakistan, I think the time has come for them to be a bit more aggressive against these proxies and clearly convey to India that no more, no activity would take place from Afghanistan to carry out or perpetrate terrorism in Pakistan. I think this much we can expect from them, and let's hope that sanity would prevail at the end of the day. But my wish is that the two countries work together against terrorism. I think it's not only India or Afghanistan for that matter. There are many other countries, if not many other, there are some countries who may not be knowing about all these things, frankly speaking, but their territories or their systems or whatever you call them are being used to fund and finance these proscribed organizations like BLA, BRA, TTP, or even Al Qaeda and ISIS. Uh, so one would expect, at least from friendly countries, that they would take notice if their systems are being abused to create instability in Pakistan. Because I would not like to name any country in this behalf, but I'm sure that our government would have taken up these issues with these countries so that so that they tighten their procedures and uh, this the tap is turned off when it comes to financing these terrorist organizations. I think Pakistan never wanted to go to this extent and not to play against India, because we do understand that sports should not be weaponized or politicized. But since India is a hubristic power, it believes that it can bully all other ICC members to its advantage. So I think it was a kind of last resort for Pakistan, and then it also made some strategic sense, I would say, to be showing solidarity with Bangladesh, because the way Bangladesh was treated by the ICC was not right, as my view, and its concerns should have been accommodated by the ICC. But unfortunately, ICC is under the influence of India. Rather, BCC and ICC are the same. So, if there is some realization that under or by our announcement that we would not play with India, if the ICC has come to this realization that other member countries also matter and they cannot dictate everything, it augurs well for the sports itself, in my view. So let's hope that because it is very important for India to save this match uh, from financial point of view and from political point of view. That's why immediately after the framework agreement between the US and India, and since Ambassador Sergio Gore in New Delhi is quite active, so they thought that it would be helpful if the US can also intervene at their behest. So my sources told me that a request was made to the ambassador. Whether or not ambassador actually committed anything, I would not know. But I'm sure that at some point he must have asked the US embassy officials here in Islamabad to see how things can be settled between Pakistan, Bangladesh, and ICC. We have seen the ICC delegation was in Pakistan yesterday, and there was a marathon meeting. I still hope that some workable formula or a formula can be worked out. But in my view, Pakistan should not be taking any step without first consulting Bangladesh. And I'm glad that President of Bangladesh Cricket was also here. So whatever we decide at the end, whether or not to play with India, that should be done in consultation with Bangladesh. And if Bangladesh is satisfied with whatever proposals are on the table, that is good. But then we should also get some assurance from the ICC that India would not be allowed to politicize anything in future. And we have seen in the past that how India tried to isolate Pakistan and damage the sports of cricket in Pakistan. So I think this is important, and Pakistan should not be taking or retaking or taking back its decision in haste. Though now 4 or 5 days are left to 15 February, but as I underscored earlier, it would be important that whatever decision Pakistan takes, it would be in consultation with Bangladesh. Uh, Strictly speaking, it is not, because the Board of Peace, which came into being as a result of United Nations Security Council Resolution 2803, the board itself does not talk about, though it is called Board of Peace, but I do not know how would it really bring about peace in the occupied lands. It's about rebuilding, reconstruction, Gaza. It doesn't talk about the state of Palestine, about Israeli occupation, and then, as a matter of fact, the way the mandate on which it has been created, it is considered as an international organization. So I really do not know how would this board bring peace in occupied lands, including Gaza and the West Bank. So unless and until there is some movement in that direction, if the board, because disarmament is one of the areas on which there is wide chasm, even among board members, uh, especially the 8 Islamic countries who were part of the process from the very beginning with Mr. Trump. They do not see eye to eye with Israel, or even for that matter, the US, and disarmament or demilitarization of Gaza or Hamas. That, to me, is a non-starter in my view, because Hamas would never, or for that matter, any other organization would never give up unless there is uh, some authority or some movement towards some guarantee that the board is working towards establishing or the state of Palestine. Because their struggle is legitimate, even armed struggle is legitimate. It is uh, allowed under in international law, under the UN Charter. So there is nothing. And then Hamas never accepted that they would uh, move towards disarmament unilaterally. So I am not very hopeful about this Board of Peace. But let's hope that now that the first meeting has been convened on the 19th, let's hope that they are able to do something. But if the idea is only to rebuild and reconstruct, even that would take years and years. So I'm not sure if the board would really be able to succeed. But for us, I think it is important that if Pakistan were to participate in ISF and other things, rather than we sending becoming part of key peace enforcement process, Pakistan should be sending its medical corps or engineering corps to help, rather than to be seen as doing anything against Hamas or other organizations in Gaza. I think since Pakistan is not alone, there are other Muslim countries as well. And as a matter of fact, we do see we are in our positions are in conformity in the sense that, for example, Turkey, Qatar, even Saudi Arabia, for that matter, uh, do see some problems when it comes to Gaza as to how we should be proceeding. And then recently we have seen differences emerging between the UAE and Saudi Arabia on other issues. So things have become somewhat complicated. How these differences are handled in the board itself would be a huge challenge for President Trump. And my sense is that the board will face many problems in the weeks and months ahead. It would not be an easy ride. It would face many bumps ahead. And but if at all it is able to deliver, one would be happy. But prospects remain rather slim. Pakistan has very clearly stated, if I recollect correctly, that in order to send its troops, it should have a UN mandate, proper UN mandate. Since we do not know how things would be uh, carried out in Gaza, because the force would be headed by an US Army general. And we still do not know what mandate the force would have. As I said, if it is peace enforcement, it has altogether a different connotation or different implications. And if it is for peacekeeping, it would have different implications. But since President Trump and Israel, they have been talking about disarming Hamas and other organizations, including Islamic Jihad, I doubt very much that this board will ever have a mandate approved by the UN Security Council, since China and Russia never endorsed this resolution, nor do they veto it, but nor did they veto it, but in any case, they abstained on the UN Security Council resolution. But I wonder whether this can go back to the United Nations Security Council for a proper mandate. So since then, that is unlikely to happen. My guess is that it will take some time, and you never know how much time. So Pakistan, other Muslim countries should be wary of Israel's machinations when it comes to Gaza, and should not be doing anything which is seen against doing the work, the dirty work of Israel in Gaza, and even unintentionally weakening and undermining the Palestinian struggle for the right to self-determination. So they need to be circumspect and should not be taking any step that even inadvertently damage the Palestinian struggle. UN, except I mean, if you talk about security issues, United Nations has never been that effective, frankly speaking. United Nations Security Council itself was a talking shop, in my view, and they could never deliver. Look what is happening to Jammu and Kashmir dispute, what happened to the Palestinian cause. So, as far as the security aspects are concerned, the United Nations has never been that effective. So if the Board of Peace, if it tries to broaden its scope and mandate to also address other international conflicts and other international security issues, Pakistan should welcome that because we would rather encourage President Trump to see as to how the US can be helpful in settling the Jammu and Kashmir dispute in our region. And then if we can, and then the Board of Peace, as I said, if it is limited to Gaza and only reconstruction and rebuilding, that again would not do much But if board of peace, as it is, uh, when we go through its terms of reference, it is as an international organization. And this is not the first time. Even in the past, the US has fiddled with many ideas. For example, the non-proliferation initiative, the security initiative, and then even, if you look at G20 and other groupings, they've all come about in order to deal with different issues. But multilateralism, I think, has weakened. But then, if UN or UN Security Council is not able to deliver, that does not mean that multilateralism has evaporated or gone away. Multilateralism is a reality of international relations, so you cannot wish it away. But its forms and shapes will keep changing. I think it is in our interest if a deal is negotiated and concluded, because another conflict in our neighborhood is definitely not in our interest. But how this deal can be reached, that is a big question, because the way US is approaching the whole entire process is not only about Iran's nuclear program, it also covers enrichment issues, and then its ballistic missile program, and then its internal situation. My own feeling is that Iran needs to show some flexibility, because otherwise, rather, both sides need to show flexibility. On the Iranian side, I would say that though, as far as enrichment is concerned, it is their right under the 1970 Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty to enrich uranium to 20% or for peaceful purposes. But keeping in view their past record, there are apprehensions around the world. So, in order to address those apprehensions, Iran may, and also to avoid another war, I think Iran can have, agreed to a unilateral moratorium on enrichment for 10 years or so, in order to create some trust, which is quite, there is deficit, no doubt, trust deficit on both sides. And then it would be unfair on the part of the US to demand or to ask Iran to give up its ballistic missiles when Israel has all the weaponry to hit Iran. So that would be unfair. And then again, internal matters or in Iran's internal matters, I, for one, would not consider any discussion even on that, because that internal interference by other countries is not acceptable. So let's hope that the two countries, with the help of Oman and other countries, be able to strike a deal which serves interests of not only our region but beyond that. And Pakistan has been helpful, I think, in one way or another, because Iran is our very important neighbor, and we are also now favorably. I mean, our relations with the US have also improved to a certain extent. So Pakistan has been of some help I think, in the process. But final decision has to be taken by Iran and the US. As I said earlier, enrichment is an issue. Iran has all the right under the NPT to continue enrichment for peaceful purposes, but since its past record leaves much to be desired, it obviously will have to agree on some kind of limitation, in the sense that some restrictions on its enrichment. And now that its three major nuclear facilities in Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz have been, according to use of President Trump's word, obliterated. So I mean, at this point in time, it's not really a very important issue for Iran. For Iran, it is important that a deal is struck and then sanctions are lifted. and Iran is allowed to mainstream itself to become part of the international community, and all sanctions are gone, both unilateral sanctions and UN sanctions. So if the US can agree to that, I think Iran should be flexible on this, maybe flexible on this. But if things go awry or there is no agreement, it can create a situation for us because those forces which want to damage, undermine Pakistan or Iran as well, they can take full advantage. And Balochistan is one area, as you mentioned, because there are forces which are inimical to Pakistan's interests and they want to destabilize Pakistan. And Balochistan is the province where we are seeing much trouble, and also earlier erstwhile FATA regions as well. So Pakistan instability is not in our interests, and I think in our interaction with the US, we should prevail on them that they should also be showing some flexibility rather than playing into the hands of Israel, because Israel would not like this deal to come through. Because it is not in their interest that Iran and US and Iran work together or they settle their differences. Definitely it does because all regional countries, including Qatar, where they have US has bases, Qatar, Bahrain, in all countries, regional Gulf countries especially, they have bases, military bases. So it can create a big problem. This any conflagration in the region will inevitably has have some implications for Pakistan. So and then the Strait of Hormuz, if that is closed, you can imagine because 20-25% of gas, oil is transported, shipped through that strait. So that can create a situation for Pakistan, countries like Pakistan, and all over the world, frankly speaking. So Pakistan, for one, because we are Iran is our Muslim brotherly country, and we are also as SCO members, we are ECO members, we are OIC members. So I think Pakistan would like to see a peaceful resolution of the problem, and these negotiations, which hopefully resume this week or next week, would lead to some mutually acceptable conclusion.